It's dinner time here in South Australia and a good feed of local fish is on the menu. If only we could find it, let alone afford it. The pros have always claimed they catch fish for all South Australians. Well, this is as full as a bull's bow. But before I show you what is on offer at the markets here in Adelaide, let's have a look at the pros crying broke again. A Consearch latest data for 2017 shows the marine scale fishery caught 2,519 tonnes of fish, worth $22.8 million. That's about $9 a kilo across the board. Their average gross boat income was $119,000, but $151,000 in Gulf St Vincent. They claim their costs were high, but they're inflated, with costs such as owner drawings and non-paid labour, so the margins get a little furry here. Now here's a big warning for those in favour of a licence buyout as proposed by this current government. In 2017 there were 308 licences, but only 280 were active, and only 90 of those filled out their own industry questionnaire. Complacent? Don't give a rat's? Well, you could interpret it that way. Let's have a look at the premium species. A total of 268 tonnes of King George whiting were caught with a value of $4.4 million. That's $16.40 a kilo. 343 tonnes of snapper were caught with a value of $3.7 million or $10.86 a kilo. There were 397 tonnes of calamari caught, worth $5.5 million or $13.80 a kilo. And finally garfish accounted for 186 tonnes, worth $1.8 million or $9.53 a kilo. Now these are Adelaide processor prices. Over 80% of this state's finfish is exported virtually overnight to the Sydney and Melbourne markets, where the processors get a massive increase in price to supply the well-heeled in those cities. So South Australians get access to just 503 tonnes of finfish at the markets, but they have to pay massive markups. So while the well-heeled off-easterners sit down and eat your premium seafood, let's have a look at what garbage is left for you to fight over in the markets. I'd like to thank Ribena for his dedicated research. Let's start with carp. You know that fish they want to destroy with a virus? Well, you can get that little gem with guts in at $7.99 a kilo, but they will gut it and clean it for free. These have to be the smallest leather jackets I've ever seen, 7 centimetres or 3 inches long, but you can get them for $22.99 a kilo. One of the biggest surprise packets was of course snapper. This photo was taken at the Adelaide market on November the 10th. That's right, 10 days after the snapper ban was in place on November the 1st. Not only that, but do you think these make the minimum measure of 38 centimetres? They are claimed to be locally caught. If so, then someone is breaking the ban, because these snapper still have their guts in. I reckon it would be against health regulations to keep them that long, with all that bacteria in their guts. But then again, they're a steal at $22.99 a kilo. Or you can get the fillets on the same day, November the 10th, for just $49.99 a kilo. Where in the hell is PIRSA in policing such practices? Asleep at the wheel again. But let's move on to some of the more exotic species, seeing you can't afford any of this. Atlantic salmon wings at just $8 a bag. Or let's pick up some kingfish heads. But at almost $5 a head, it might get a bit pricey to feed a family of 5. But there's a selection of barramundi wings, snapper heads, and even the delicacy of snapper bones. But they're a bit pricier than the heads, of course. Remember that small fraction of the total catch that was kept in South Australia at the landing price of $9 a kilo? Well, this is what happened overnight when they were filleted. King George whiting fillets at almost $80 a kilo, but if you want them in a nice pre-packaged presentation, you'll pay almost $113 a kilogram. Do you think you could splash out and buy some of this? Surely you could stretch that meagre pension to cover it, say once every 5 years or so. But then again, you could go for the half-price alternative and get a feed of yellowfin whiting at just $40 a kilo. No wonder the imported, polluted garbage from Thailand and Vietnam is big here in South Australia, because no one can afford our own premium species that the pros continually claim they catch for all South Australians. With earning on average up to $151,000 a year per boat in Gulf St Vincent, they move in far different circles than the majority of this state's population. They say ignorance is bliss, but I do have a huge belly laugh every Friday when the politicians on North Terrace sit down in their dining room to feast upon locally caught garfish and exclaim how great it is. Or are they eating garfish flown in from China? Yep, indeed, ignorance is bliss.